Hello everybody, AlzaboHD here, and welcome back to episode 10 of the Game of Thrones AI Free-For-All Deathmatch series. Got a great episode for you guys today, as usual. Well, quick recap before we get started. In the last episode, the Lannisters have conquered the city of Riverrun. The Tullys are out of the game. House Tully has been burned to the ground. But the good thing is that the Lannisters are rebuilding this complete mess and destroyed area. I mean, this honestly looks like a nuclear warhead went off over here outside of Riverrun. Very, very sad for the Tullys. But again, this is the Game of Thrones. When you play to win. And if you lose, well, you die. So that's always something to look out for. Another thing that happened in the last game was that Renly Baratheon was beheaded in Storm's End. House Martell of Dorne is on the move. They've conquered Storm's End. They are wiggling their way out of the southern peninsula of Westeros into the heartland of Westeros. So this is going to be an interesting, I guess, episode for you guys today. We're not exactly sure what's going to happen. There's a bit of a cold war that's going on between these various factions. Although, with that being said, as usual, Robb Stark is still at war with Balon Greyjoy. Again, nothing really substantial has happened with that in the last 4 or 5 episodes. I'm not going to even recap that anymore. And Mance Rhaegar is expanding incredibly fast, incredibly voraciously. I don't know what word to use here, but he's just going crazy. He's taking up every single tile of the north that has not been colonized by Robb Stark. So again, this is going to be something to look out for in the future. Potential conflict areas as well are abounding here. So in this episode, what is going to happen? Well, I'm glad you asked. We're going to go and end the turn and see if something does not make itself immediately available. What I mean by that is perhaps, Peter Baelish will declare war on, House Tyrell of the Reach. Who knows. We're going to go and check the diplomacy screen, as we normally do, just to get a good look as to what is happening. Now, for those of you who are watching this show, Game of Thrones, very, very interesting season so far. I'm not going to talk about spoilers in case you guys haven't checked it out, but Jon Snow, Jon Snow, well, that's going to be an interesting thing just to look at in Season 6. Keeping that intentionally vague as always. So Dorne is still at war with the Stormlands. I don't really know where else Ridley can hide to. I think he's basically wiped out Ridley. Okay, no, Ridley's got a general off of the coast of Storm's End, and he's got a worker in King's Landing. I guess his workers are going to Joffrey Baratheon and begging for entrance into King's Landing so that, they can continue to find work here and not just get absolutely enslaved and destroyed by some Dornishmen. Well, that's always a good thing. Going back to the diplomacy overview, who else is at war with who? Mance is at war with the Crown Lands. Yeah, that's it's been like that for a while. He's at war with Stannis Baratheon, who's also at war with a lot of different people. He's also at war with Peter Baelish. At war with Beyond the Wall. That must be the Wildlings. All right, so the only thing of note in this particular episode, and I do apologize once again for my sniffles. These allergies are a pain in the ass, but with that being said, looks like Stannis has signed peace recently, if not in this episode, then the last episode, with Stannis Baratheon. Stannis has ceded the, peninsula of Qua Isle to High Garden, to Olenna Tyrell? Martell? Tyrell? I think it's Tyrell. The thing is that House Tyrell and Martell always confuse me a lot because they have very similar names. But I think Tyrell is Highgarden and I think Martell is Dorne. But of course, this is something that it continues to plague me and confuse me to this day. So with that being said, let's go ahead and, focus on Dragonstone, who is, again, Stannis is at war with 3 different people. We'll see if anybody makes a move on Dragonstone this episode. My guess is probably yes, as we continue into episode 10 here with the AI Game of Thrones Deathmatch series. And again, we are going to continue the series until there is no longer interest. I might run a poll in a few episodes just to kind of see if you guys are still interested in continuing this. Again, this is a democracy. I do like to include some type of community vote in most of my decisions here on AlzaboHD YouTube channel. So again, just let me know in the comments below if you guys are still interested, and if not, we can always switch it up to a different series. Right, so, big announcement here. The Lannisters have declared war, the Reach has declared war on Lannisters. This is going to be a bloody, bloody battle. We have Olenna Tyrell versus Tywin Lannister. This is going to be absolutely dirty. Now, if all things being equal from the TV show, I would say that Lannisters would win, 9 times out of 10. Tywin is a very accomplished military general, but in this particular situation, honestly, I'm not so sure. You look at this situation here, the Tyrells control like half of Westeros, or at least half of central and, I guess, parts of northern Westeros. The Lannisters kind of control this little corridor over here. So let's go ahead and end the turn and see exactly what's going to happen. So the Stormlands have denounced the Reach. That's not too surprising. Although, yeah, okay, so the Reach declared war. The Lannisters, Stannis is not too happy about that, actually. Yes, because they both share the same color here, red and red. We'll be keeping an eye, of course, on Dragonstone as this battle wears on, just so that we don't focus too much on one theater of war here. But just zooming in on the battle over here, really, the Reach has already kind of breached the defenses of Casterly Rock. We'll see if the defenders, the Lannister defenders, are going to be able to withhold or repel this attack from the Landed Knights, which are the unique units of Highgarden. Very, very interesting. Now, I've not actually seen the Lannister unique unit yet. I'm not sure exactly what it is. It's probably a gold cloak. Maybe they have not researched the technology for it yet. We will be keeping our eye on that just in case. And very interesting over here to the north of Ashmark, it looks like there is more of a worker strike over here. It looks like the, like communist plebs have risen up. These bourgeois are ready to attack the enemy using their hammers and sickles. This is very interesting. I've never seen a worker rush like this, but again, this is the AI of Civilization 5, a very old game. The AI is very, very, very bad. But of course, if you've seen my videos, you will know that I talk very often about the pitfalls of Civilization AI. Well, this is just one of them. I mean, look at this. They are literally attacking each other with their workers. This is the most stupid thing I've ever seen. Let's go to end the turn once again. Right, so again, it looks like Olenna is pulling back from Casterly Rock, taking some damage from bombardments, of course, and there is a little bit of a naval presence outside of Bitter Bridge. It looks like the Lannisters are going to try and take the city using their triremes. Good luck with that. Going back outside of Dragonstone, there is a big battle. Of course, Dragonstone, they have a Lycian Pirate, which I think is their unique units, which is more or less likely better than the other naval units. We'll check back on them in a second. Of course, outside of Bitter Bridge, the Lannister attackers have been repelled. Very, very interesting. I was not even under the impression that the Lannisters had a navy of any certain size, so that's always a good thing to check up on. Looks like Old Town. Which one is that? That's Karth, Harrenhal, Robb Stark, Lorath. See, again, if you guys are new to this series, these city-states very rarely ever match up with the actual names that the game thinks they are, because I had to change, basically, what they were named, which was kind of annoying, in order to replace them. So, Molestown has declared war on Balon. I don't really know how a city of prostitutes over here in the north is going to somehow make a navy and march into Pike, but keep on dreaming. That's always a... we can always be optimistic, right? That's definitely a positive thing to think about. Interestingly enough, the Lannisters are pushing down into Ashmark, although it looks like they're going to be stopped outside of the actual city by some Landed Knights. Of course, they were able to pillage the Citadel just outside of Ashmark. Very interesting development there. Let's go ahead and end the turn once again. And excuse me while I go sneeze off of the microphone. Alright, and I'm back. Let's go ahead and end the turn. Wish I wasn't so stuffed up when I recorded this. Again, I apologize if that is a bit annoying. It certainly is annoying for me as well. So I sympathize with you guys. Alright, so, whoa. Outside of Dorne, we've got a massive naval buildup over here outside of the city of Sunspear and Lemonwood. Look at this. Looks like Dorne is just going crazy with these long ships, which may or may not be a unique unit. Maybe this is some sort of technology that's from the a mod of Ice and Fire. I don't know. I've never played this particular mod before this series, so for those of you who are in the know, feel free to drop the answer off in the comment box below. But going back up, Dragonstone is not in any immediate danger. It looks like Stannis is fortifying his little one-tile island with some walls. Red Lady's keeping him safe. Very, very good stuff. Let's go back into the west, where Olenna is pushing into the capital, the Lannister capital, Casterly Rock. But this is not going to be an easy battle for either one of them. The Lannisters, of course, taking heavy, heavy casualties, but Olenna of Highgarden definitely as well, basically sending her men in to die one by one here. I don't think there's going to be a clear winner. This is pretty much the Westerosi, or Song of Ice and Fire equivalent to World War I. It looks like it was like trench warfare almost over here. And of course, at the same time, we've got some Lannister buildup off of the coast of Casterly Rock. No doubt trying to take over Bitterbridge for themselves. Very, very cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and end the turn once again. Keeping our eye out again on Dorne, who is just building up an absolutely massive navy. If they are at war with Dragonstone, which I think they are, they will be able to wipe the floor. Stannis has no chance if they use all of their navy to take the city of Dragonstone. And of course, this would give them a bit of an influence here, kind of central Westeros, or off the coast of King's Landing itself. Going back in the north, nothing too much of note. It's a bit of a shame that we had to get rid of the White Walkers in the west. It would have been interesting to see what type of shenanigans they would be up to at this point. But again, this mod does not support the White Walkers. I do apologize. They were a civilization that I was really looking forward to. But again, Mance Radar is at least a decent substitute for a Northern Menace. Wildlings, of course, or the Free Folk, depending on whose perspective you are following here. And I'm not sure if it's just me, but this current season seems a little bit slow. Again, I'm not going to say spoilers, right? I don't do spoilers. All I've said so far is Jon Snow. I don't see anything about Jon Snow, but for those of you who have watching Season 6 or have finished Season 5, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That at least is an interesting plot point, but to me, the show right now is a bit slow. I mean, maybe that is not the fault of HBO. Maybe that's the fault of the book. Again, I've only read up to book 3, so I'm not really familiar with the mid to later books here. Big news. The Lannisters, who I had the impression were just going to get absolutely ransacked here in this war. I thought they were going to get destroyed. Have actually captured a city over here that used to belong to the Tyrells. Of course, Olenna is more than likely absolutely livid here, considering the city is right outside of the gates of Highgarden itself. We will see if the Lannisters are able to hold this city for themselves. But again, more than likely, this will divert the attention of House Tyrell away from Casterly Rock. Whether this is a good thing for the Lannisters remains to be seen. Right. Outside of Dragonstone again, some more peace. Very good. Look at Robb Stark's military buildup. This is crazy. Robb Stark has to be ready for war. Whether or not he's going to declare war on Mance or on the Vale or even on the Reach remains to be seen, but there are plenty of cities worth taking here in the north. But I mean, look at this army. He must have the largest army in the game. Let's go double check that really fast. He does. 160,000 soldiers. Whoa. Including top population. Well, very interesting, very formidable. We need to keep our eye on Robb Stark in the future. Right, so Bitterbridge is going to be hard to hold on to for the Lannisters. My opinion is that the next turn, the Tyrells will be able to retake it. But with that being said, the Lannisters have the superior fleet, and they will be able to continuously retake this until the city is a one-pop city that is basically just a hovel surrounded by dead bodies. Well, that's pretty dystopian, right? But whatever. Old Town is only the ally of Peter Baelish. Doesn't look like they're really involved in the war right now. But again, Dorne is building up a massive military too. We're not sure exactly what they're going to be doing with that, but we will certainly keep our eyes on that in the future. As we continue over here in the Western campaign. So Tywin has made peace with the Tyrells here. Looks like this is a status quo antebellum, which means basically this is exactly the same as it was before the war. So really nobody gained or lost anything, which is a bit disappointing. I kind of wanted to see the Lannisters hold on to Bitterbridge, maybe push back the Tyrells, who are really, in my opinion, probably the crowd favorite here right now. I think the Tyrells are in a very dominant position. But of course, there's too many wild cards to be sure. Of course, over here, I mean, look at this. Where is Dorne heading to with this massive navy and military? More than likely the Iron Islands or the north to attack it directly. We'll keep our eye on that. But this is just a massive exodus of Dornish military. We will definitely keep our eye on that. Going back into the north, the Lannisters are now at peace, so we'll be focusing more on Dragonstone and Peter Baelish. Of course, I try to focus on as many parts of the map as I can. But in any given episode, which is like 20 to 30 minutes long, I can't always focus on every aspect of the map, especially those aspects of the map that are in peace and are otherwise uninteresting. So, checking back up here in the north, Peter Baelish has set up yet another annoying little colony up here. No doubt going to piss Robb Stark off. Of course, he is the king of the north, but the north is just an absolute mess. I mean, look at this place. This is ridiculous. This is like this is just not even tenable at the moment. So he's going to have to make some changes here. Let's go and end the turn. Let's see what the Dornish Navy does here, as they are moving west and north. Yep, they are moving west and north. Well, that'll be an interesting thing to see perhaps in the next episode, once they finally get their way over to Pike or the north. Or maybe even the Lannisters, but they're trying to strike the Lannisters again. Nothing is really known at the moment. So the Vale and who? Westerlands. Okay, so the Lannisters and Peter Baelish are friends. This is something that is a bit, I guess, similar to the actual show itself, at least at some points. Of course, Peter Baelish is a very snaky figure. I haven't really seen that much of him, actually. I don't think he's even appeared in Season 6 yet. Maybe he's been downgraded to a very unimportant character. Who knows? I'll tell you, there's just so many different characters and plot lines going on in Game of Thrones right now that honestly, each episode of Season 6 is basically like, hey, let's focus on this guy for 2 minutes. We'll focus on this guy for 30 seconds. Oh, it's Daenerys. We'll focus on her for 50 seconds. I feel like they just went too far in terms of the actual storylines. And I thought Season 5 did this better because, you know, they kind of cut out some of the storylines. They cut out Bran Stark. They cut out a few other storylines. And well, that made it more fluid because they had more time to talk about the various storylines with the Night's Watch and all that type of stuff. Again, intentionally avoiding spoilers here, but I think you guys know what I mean. I mean, now it's just, there's too many characters in too many different places. And honestly, it just doesn't seem to be that interesting. I mean, maybe for some of you diehard Game of Thrones fans, Song of Ice and Fire, George R.R. Martin fans, maybe it's interesting to you guys, but right now, really more is going to have to happen for me to continue watching. I mean, of course I'm going to continue watching. I don't mean to say it like that, but I mean, like, more is going to have to happen for me to, like, really be in to this particular series. Because right now I'm just watching other shows. You know, honestly, I'm watching House of Cards, very, very good show on Netflix. I'm not going to try to, like, advertise other shows here, but I mean, Game of Thrones is just boring me right now. I'll be honest with you guys. I mean, not that much is happening, but again, this is very early on in Season 6. I think it's episode 4. It's just been released. I've only seen episode 3, so perhaps something really game-changing happens here that I'm not aware of. And of course, you know, it is Game of Thrones, so your favorite characters do die, and that of course is a bit upsetting for many people. But I don't really care about that. In fact, I really applaud George R.R. Martin for taking that kind of drastic step and ensuring that most people are not invulnerable like with most movies and series nowadays. Outside Dragonstone, though, things are not looking good for Stannis Baratheon. And it looks like Peter Baelish is going to take the city here in the next episode, or the next turn. Let's go ahead and just double check here. Yep. So, with that being said, both Stannis and Renly Baratheon are out of the game. Dragonstone has been conquered by Peter Baelish. This episode was interesting. I definitely was not embellishing there. Well, this is going to change absolutely everything. Looks like there's only how many houses now? Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Only 7 houses left that have control of their capitals, and of course there's only 6 factions that are left that have more than just their capital. I'm looking at Balon Greyjoy over here, who is about to get absolutely fucked. Let's be honest. Let's go to end the turn before this episode ends and see what happens with this massive navy outside of the Iron Islands. I never thought that I would see the day where Dorne would conquer the Iron Islands. This just seems something completely out of left field. What is this, like the Twilight Zone? I didn't think so, but let's go ahead and just double check to see what happens here. Next turn. Well, who's surprised when Dorn of House Martell has declared war on Balon Greyjoy of the Iron Islands? Well, I wasn't surprised, that's for sure. I mean, we all saw how choreographed this particular move of diplomacy was. I mean, if you guys look over here, I mean, he's still destroying over here with these ships. Sending out so many ships over here to Pike. Let's go to end the turn. And again, I apologize if you guys hear me like breathing out of my mouth. It's been hard for me to commentate because I can't breathe out of my nose. So when I'm talking, I can't breathe. And then there's some times where it's just like, oh shit, I can't breathe. So I have to breathe pretty loudly. Hopefully I can fix this in the next few episodes. I played each by day, you know. I don't have like terrible allergies or anything, but I do have cat allergies. And my girlfriend currently has a cat in the apartment. Personally, I want to throw the thing out, but you know, I'm not like cruel or anything. I'm not like an animal cruel person or whatever, but you know, I personally would rather not have the cat, to be quite fair with you guys. So let's see in this episode if Pike can be taken out. My guess is that Dorn should have Dorn should have moved all of his naval units instead of just engaging the Iron Islands with 3 or 4 ships. Of course, these are the Iron Islands, the home of the Ironborn, so it would have made more sense to come more prepared. But again, we will see the future. Aha! Peter Baelish has just declared war on the Lannisters after taking Dragonstone that belonged to Stannis. This is going to be an interesting stop to episode 10, but fret not. Stay tuned for episode 11 when Peter Baelish and Tywin Lannister duel it out over here outside of Riverrun, which is just a city that I would not want to live in. I mean, this city has changed hands so many times. These fields and these bannermen must be so upset because their, you know, grasslands are sown with salt. I mean, this is just like the worst place to live in Westeros right now, I'll be honest with you guys. But again, another interesting development, of course, is the battle for Pike. We will see if Doran of Dorne will be able to conquer Pike. We will see if Peter Baelish is able to outsmart the Lannisters. Well, we've got a great 11th episode for you guys today, so stay tuned for episode 11. Thank you so much for watching episode 10. Rip Stannis Baratheon. As always, let's go over the diplomacy screen before the end of each episode. Looks like Peter Baelish and Robb Stark are the current predicted winners based off of the Civ 5 algorithm. Of course, Robb Stark has a massive army ready to strike in whatever direction he so chooses. So again, guys, I want to thank you so much for watching and stay tuned for episode 11. It'll be out soon, be out later this week, hopefully. So again, I'll see you guys there and take care. See you guys soon.